I was at the Christmas party for Camp Sweeney. There must have been 60 kids in the room. And the administrator asked, how many kids here have both parents at home? 2 kids raised their hand. How many had a father at home? 1 kid raised his hand. They don't have fathers. A lot of them don't even have parents. They have the gang. That takes the place of the family. Nope. Back in the 80s, the San Francisco Police Department placed officers in every middle and high school because of the amount of violence that was in the schools. And I had a friend who was an officer who ran the wilderness program for the San Francisco Police Department. And we thought it might be a good idea if the officers could interact with the students in the school in a non-adversarial setting, in a place where they were enjoying nature together. So we started taking the kids sailing, and it worked. And the officers relaxed. The kids saw the officers as more than someone in a uniform with a gun. And just as important, the officers saw the kids as kids and not someone who could pull a weapon on them. And that program is still going. It's still part of Blue Water, and it's close to 30 years old now. And there's some great stories about that. One officer who had been on several of the sails found himself in a dangerous situation, and he was alone. He did call for backup, but it hadn't arrived by the time the kids were beginning to gather around him. And he was just thinking about pulling his gun when he heard a voice from the back shout, "Hey, he was on the sail with us. He's all right." And the crowd disappeared. And that's what that particular program is all about. He was all right because he'd gone sailing with those kids.
Wow, Lee's the foundation of this program. He's solid. I mean, he's just there all the time. And the kids love him. You know, he's great. He joke around. He just makes this program happen. If it wasn't for him, I keep telling him I wouldn't be here. He's an amazing guy, really. To make this as big as it is now, really amazing how he makes this work.
As you may or may not know, in terms of what happens to these kids right now in California, the studies show that 1/3 of them are dead within 3 years. 1/3. 1/3 go to prison, 1/3 make it out of the system. Now think about that 1/3 that are dead. In World War II, we never had a battle with casualties that high. And when we would approach anything close to those casualties, they would call off the battle because we could not survive with casualties that high. Well, right now, 10 miles from where we're sitting, the casualties are higher than that every day for these kids. That's the world they live in. They live in a war zone. You've got to get them out of that war zone. All the kids who are incarcerated from the probation departments are the best sailors we take out. By far the best sailors they take out. And at first it was a real shock to us. We couldn't understand why these kids were from gangs. They've never been more than 5 or 6 blocks from their home. You don't leave your gang territory. Certainly never been to sea. And they would go on a boat for the first time, and within an hour, they were sailing better than kids we had taken out for weeks or months. They are superb sailors. And it was such a shock. I remember commenting to one of them that I'd never seen anything like it. "Why are you kids so good at sailing?" And he looked at his cellmates and he said, "You know, a boat's crew, it's a good gang, isn't it?" And he's right. The same skill set of fellowship, you back up the people around you. There's a hierarchy, so there's a captain, but all the people help each other in what appears to be a dangerous situation, supporting each other, alone in a dangerous world. So what they learn in the gangs, the skill sets, are just ideal for becoming a boat's crew. That's why they're good.